Everyone outside of Berea can see that the Cleveland Browns are sitting on a gold mine, except the man who appears to be signing the checks. Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, has now shockingly acknowledged that the trade speculations involving rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders are true. This is when things become more complicated. Haslam didn't choose Shedeur. GM Andrew Berry made that choice after noticing the skill, composure, and star power that the other teams in the league inexplicably missed in the April selection. The fifth-round pick, Phenom, hasn't seen a single first-team rep despite Shedeur dominating the defense during training camp and topping all Browns quarterbacks in completion percentage, touchdowns, and passer rating. Yes, you read correctly. The quarterback in camp who has been the most accurate, effective, and thrilling is still behind an overhyped rookie and veterans. This is no longer just a quarterback contest. This is a civil war in the front office. On the one hand, Berry thinks he has discovered the franchise's future face. However, Haslam is making it very apparent that he is willing to move Shedeur if the proper deal is made. The NFL rumor mill is currently in full swing as the New Orleans Saints quarterback room is disintegrating more quickly than their dreams of making the playoffs. However, that is only the beginning of the pandemonium. Before reality hit them hard, the New Orleans Saints believed they had found a solution to their quarterbacking dilemma. The organization was caught off guard by Derek Carr's abrupt retirement, and they frantically reached for Tyler Shuck in the second round of the draft. Scouts were shaking their heads, and fans were moaning about the decision as soon as Roger Goodell read the name. The Saints marketed Shuck as a long-term solution, even though he was at most a developmental player. By the time training camp rolls around, the Shuck experiment is already beginning to appear to be among the worst draft choices ever made. Local reporters claim that he may have executed the worst 2-minute drill in NFL history during situational training because of his shoddy mechanics, delayed reads, and poor decision-making. You don't exactly want your future quarterback to have that kind of headline. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, is posting nearly flawless stats in camp in Cleveland, shocking the NFL with a 9-for-9 and 2-touchdown performance that left veterans stunned. Asante Samuel, a former NFL player, has already stated publicly that the Saints ought to call and extend an offer right now. Additionally, the door is open for a deal that might alter the course of both organizations now that Jimmy Haslam has accepted the trade rumors. However, there is one obvious question before the Saints can even consider it. Why is Cleveland considering this at all? Furthermore, the response might not be related to football. Fans believed that everyone in the building agreed after the Browns defeated Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. This was, after all, one of college football's most illustrious and well-known quarterbacks. A player with arm skill and composure under duress was shouted future franchise leader. However, Jimmy Ham did not turn in that draft card behind closed doors. Simply put, this was an Andrew Berry move. Shedeur was viewed by GM as a high-reward, low-risk steal. The kind of selection that would eventually come to define his Cleveland career. Not so much Haslam. The multi-billionaire proprietor has never been afraid to get his hands dirty in the football industry. He wasn't convinced of Shedeur right away, according to rumors circulating the league. Now that skepticism has changed, it has become much more harmful. Make use of leverage. Haslam's confirmation of trade speculations is a highly visible statement. Berry may choose Shedeur, but the owner's office, not the general managers, will decide his destiny. The numbers don't lie, which is ironic. Sanders has performed better than any of the Browns quarterbacks. Greater upside than an injured Kenny Pickett, crisper decision-making than Dylan Gabriel, and greater accuracy than Joe Flacco. But Shedeur is forced to run with backups while Gabriel falters through first-team reps. Talent is no longer important. It has to do with politics. Cleveland may give the quarterback of the future to another NFL team if its management is unable to agree. The Saints have already begun to circle like sharks. The Cleveland quarterback depth chart wouldn't even be up for debate if this were a production issue. Shedeur Sanders has been nothing short of electric during the first part of training camp. The story is revealed by the numbers. The Browns quarterback with the highest completion percentage, the ability to convert broken plays into highlight-worthy scores, and 0 picks during team drills. It wasn't a coincidence that he had a 9-for-9, 2-touchdown performance against a starting defense. Everything his supporters had been saying since draft day was confirmed. The child is now prepared. Furthermore, it goes beyond the numbers. Veteran players in that locker room will tell you that Shedeur has the room's respect, confidence, and leadership. No amount of pressure can shake him. He doesn't falter in the pocket, and he already gets along better with talented players than some of the so-called starters. This performance would earn a promotion to first-team representatives in any other organization. In Cleveland, he continues to lag behind Joe Flacco, who is nearing the end of his career, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who had severe difficulties with accuracy and pocket awareness. This is carelessness, not merely poor management. The Browns run the risk of losing the most talented young player they have had in recent years every day that Shedeur is not given the chance to compete for QB1. It's time to stop hoarding him and let another team utilize his skill if they refuse to give him a fair chance. And the New Orleans Saints are the team that needs him the most at the moment. Desperation is suffocating the franchise in New Orleans, not only in the air. The Saints were caught off guard when Derek Carr announced his retirement, taking away their lone quarterback with a track record of success. The team's solution was to take a chance on Tyler Shough, a second-round selection that most scouts thought was only a project. There was an instant pushback. The move was met with outrage by fans. When analysts questioned the front administration, rumors circulated that Shough wasn't a good match for the team because of his age and lack of growth. Long-range strategies. All the training camp has done is add fuel to the fire. Shough has had inconsistent accuracy, clumsy footwork, and delayed decision-making. The low point was a 2-minute practice that was so awful that New Orleans season reporters called it the worst they had ever witnessed. That isn't overstating things. There is a franchise quarterback in critical condition. For Shedeur Sanders, this explains why the Saints make so much sense. They want a quarterback who can remain composed under duress. Someone who can instill hope in the Superdome, sell jerseys, and energize the fan base. Shedeur is more than a temporary solution. You can base your strategy around him. Sanders, in contrast to Shough, has already shown that. He can easily overwhelm NFL defenses. The game shifts when Jimmy Haslam confirms trade talks. The Saints should not worry about whether Cleveland will pay attention. They are aware that the door is open already. Every practice in New Orleans is further evidence that they require Shedeur Sanders, especially because Tyler Shough is struggling. Many things will be remembered about the 2025 NFL Draft, but for the New Orleans Saints, it may rank among the most significant "what were they thinking" moments in the team's history. Shedeur Sanders, one of the class's most accomplished and NFL-ready quarterbacks, was still seated there when their number was called. They took a chance on Tyler Shough, a player who wasn't even in the top tier of most scouts' rankings, rather than acquiring him. And that happened more than once. Shedeur dropped to the 5th round before being passed on by the Saints several times. When the Browns eventually acquired him, general manager Andrew Berry has been subtly pleased with the decision ever since. Here's the twist, though. Not even Cleveland agreed. Sanders wasn't being pushed by Jimmy Haslam. The owner didn't like him. And it is more important in the NFL than most fans would like to acknowledge. The draft board has now turned upside down once more after several months. While Shough is being disparaged by his local media, Shedeur is outperforming practically every rookie quarterback in the league, including those selected in the 1st and 2nd rounds. All of a sudden, the Saints, who let him go, are being linked to a big trade to acquire him. And before they ever give him a chance, the Browns, who drafted him, are deciding whether to cash in. This is what occurs when your pride interferes with your ability to play football. Additionally, it can prove to be a game-changing error for both teams. The Browns enjoy preaching about developing a winner and going above and beyond to contend for a title. However, it isn't progressing anything to keep Shedeur Sanders bound to a depth chart where he has already performed better. Time and talent are being wasted. The wisest course of action for both the player and the team is to trade him while his value is still extremely high if Cleveland is unwilling to give him a fair chance. Shedeur is currently the league's most sought-after young quarterback. He has demonstrated in camp that he is capable of expertly managing Kevin Stefanski's offense. He is the building's most accurate passer, the only one who hasn't been shaken by pressure, and the only one who keeps getting better every week. It isn't a plan if the Browns intend to maintain him as insurance behind more experienced, inconsistent, or injury-prone quarterbacks. That is a form of asset hoarding. The Saints have every justification to spend more money on the ideal quarterback in the meantime. They have plenty of playmakers in their offense. If the quarterback problem is fixed, their opportunity to contend in the NFC South is wide open, and their fan base is hankering for excitement in a deal like this. Cleveland might demand a starter or perhaps high-end draft picks in exchange and still win. This is Jimmy Haslam's chance if he genuinely thinks Shedeur wasn't his type. Make the call, close the transaction, and allow Shedeur to represent a team that genuinely wants him. He is being held captive by anything less. Despite all the rumors circulating in Cleveland, this blockbuster might never make it out of the rumor stage. The Browns are not blind, despite their occasional dysfunction. They view the same statistics as everyone else. In the dressing room, they hear the veterans' compliments. They are aware that Shedeur Sanders is outperforming every quarterback in their room. They also realize in their hearts that firing him might be the kind of error that plagues a club for years to come. Ego is the issue. Jimmy Haslam's confirmation of trade rumors went beyond merely gauging market sentiment. The purpose was to demonstrate that Shedeur is not inviolable. However, we might witness a full-fledged power struggle at the top if Andrew Berry digs in and won't let go of a quarterback he thinks has the potential to be the future. Decisions are postponed, opportunities are lost, and clubs are left in limbo when that occurs in the NFL. Additionally, there is the preseason wild card. Other GMs will call more loudly and make richer offers if Shedeur continues to fire up live game action. However, each shot he makes and each highlight he creates also makes it more difficult for the Browns to defend, letting him depart. The paradox lies in that he gains value on both sides of this argument, the better he performs. Cleveland runs the danger of squandering a superstar's best years if it sits him and keeps him. They run the risk of seeing him lead another side to victory if they deal him. In any case, the Browns may be defined by this choice for a generation. It was not intended for Shedeur Sanders to be a fifth-round afterthought. He wasn't meant to wait behind quarterbacks who were less composed, had weaker arms, and had inferior stats. Furthermore, he most certainly wasn't meant to be mentioned in trade talks before he had even played for the first team. But here we are. The owner of the Browns has verified the rumors. The rest of the league is keeping a close eye on the GM as he discreetly fights to keep this guy. It is necessary for the New Orleans Saints. Shedeur is skilled. A move that has the potential to completely change the NFL's course is about to happen. Additionally, it is not only unjust but also a sabotage for the Browns to keep him on the sidelines if they really don't intend to let him compete at quarterback. Whether he is leading an NFL offense in Cleveland, New Orleans, or another city, he has earned the right to do so. This is ultimately more significant than a single rookie quarterback. It concerns whether a team will allow talent to develop organically or allow politics and ego to overshadow it. The Browns must make a decision. Watch a new franchise tournament to find a star or unleash the most exciting young quarterback in camp. So we'll let you decide. Is it time for Cleveland to let Shedeur go and leave his mark wherever else he feels he can make a difference, or should they finally give him the keys? Because his time is coming in one form or another. Where it will be is the only question that remains. This is Huddle Headquarters. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe and like the video. I'll see you tomorrow with more football-related stuff.